Access more.
I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but I have
You're a fan of this
gorgeous fiddle leaf fig named George that I love and sometimes get heckled by my children because they say I love George more than them. They're like, Mom, you come home and you talk to him and you dust him and you sing songs to him. And like, could you give me some of that attention, please? Welcome to the Candace Cameron Bure podcast. We're here to share conversations about life's challenges, celebrations, and everything in between. Season 2 is about finding purpose. Come join us. Before we jump in, I want you to know Access More is the preferred place to listen to and watch my podcast. At accessmore.com, you can find other great faith-based podcasts on audio and video. Just go to accessmore.com. Hello, and welcome to the show. Today's episode, we will be talking about tending to your space. Yeah. So what distracts us within our space, what obstacles kind of sabotage our space, all kinds of things. But before we get into that, Heather, I've been loving our conversations so much, and I just thought it would be really fun for our listeners to get to know you a little bit more. So are you up for a quick round of speed questions?
Sure. As long as I get a turn.
Or it could be a long round of speed questions.
As long as I get a turn back.
Okay, fair. What was the moment you realized you were officially an adult?
I think, so marriage is a big step into adulthood, but it was when I got married, my husband owned a car that was a stick shift.
Oh.
And he lived in Chicago and I was from Indiana. So the first time I drove that stick shift to Indiana and I'm stalling out at the toll places.
Yep.
And the toll taker is saying, come on, girl, hit it. Like, I think it was in that moment that I thought, okay, once I got to my destination, I've officially arrived that I could drive
I
a
see
stick
that.
shift. Yeah.
I think that's a really good answer. I too can drive a stick shift.
Yeah, I don't know that I could now, but I did then. I think I forgot.
I wish there was a stick shift car I could drive right now.
You like it?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Who is one of your favorite musicians to listen to?
When my boys leave the house, like to go to school, my husband drives them, I tell Alexa, play Lauren Daigle. Hopefully there's not an Alexa anywhere nearby.
I know.
She'll
had that random. I love Lauren Daigle.
Yeah. I mean, she can just sing to me all during the morning. And that's usually when I have my quiet time is after they've left. I turn on our fire. It's like a switch. And then when I'm making dinner, I ask Alexa to play Frank Sinatra.
I love Frank too.
I start with Lauren and I end with Frank.
We're very much the same.
Yeah.
I think Lauren was like my second highest listened to artist from last year. You know, you can do that on your Apple Music.
I don't pay. Oh, Apple Music? Okay. Spotify, I couldn't do the Wrapped because I didn't pay.
What household chore do you hate doing the most?
Decluttering. This is not my gifting.
No.
Everything I see.
Are you a bit of a hoarder?
If I didn't have my husband helping me, when we moved, a lot of that was helpful. But we've been in the same house for 18 years.
I know it's hard because you get sentimental over pieces.
Yeah, and I see the potential in the things. So I could always re-sew that, or I could make something out of that. So it's hard. I don't love it.
You can find it a new home.
Yeah, I could.
What was one of your favorite activities as a kid when you weren't in the woods?
Yeah, I was going to say, I loved that. But I also was a huge fan of playing with Barbies.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, the way my room was set up is I had a little loft with a ladder, and the loft had all the Barbie stuff, like the house and the pool and the...
Did you ever cut your Barbie's hair?
Totes. And it never grew back. I thought it would. Oh, I would like design clothes for them. They had whole storylines. I loved playing with Barbies.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. If you were ever going to be in the Olympics, what would your sport be?
Well, I think y'all heard that I was wired to be an amazing synchronized swimmer. And I did go to the Junior Olympics in St. Louis. So
Look at you. That's pretty cool.
Actually gone.
I think that's a good brag.
Yeah. But I don't know now, like it's so hard and I'm not.
I know.
There are youngins out there. So I don't know.
Yep.
There is a senior Olympics I could join. There's junior Olympics and there's senior Olympics.
There you go. Okay, let's get into our show. That was really fun.
Okay, so I am going to ask you questions.
Okay,
just
another
y'all
episode
in a couple weeks. Just stay tuned. But we talked about how in the last episode we don't want to like overstep our bounds in our space, and we don't want to shrink back in our space. And you kind of mentioned we're going to talk about tending today, and things that distract us, things that sabotage us from that space. And I think that sometimes it doesn't have to be an outside distraction. Like we can be the ones that get in our own way. Have you ever experienced that? Like where you kind of caused the disruption in occupying your space?
Well, yeah. I'm immediately thinking of when I got in my own way with auditions for different movies and television shows. Like sometimes I didn't have the confidence. So I would determine once I got the sides. So sides are a scene that you would read from the movie or the TV show. So they don't give you the script in its entirety. They give you a scene or two or three, and that's what you would read in your audition. So sometimes after reading through the sides, I would determine that I was not the right person for this job.
Oh, you would decide for the casting?
Yes, I would decide and say like, nope, this one, and again, this wasn't because of a belief, like this isn't material. Like a moral stance. It wasn't a moral stance.
Okay.
This was just like, nope, I'm not the right person for this. And it was really my lack of confidence that I just didn't believe that I would get the job. So I would just make that a really easy decision for myself. But it was sad because I'm like, how do you know? Which is why I have a very different perspective now, which we talked about last week. I'm much more open, and I like being a yes person because all I can do is say is fail, and that's okay. So that is one of the things that I guess how I would sabotage my own assignments. Yeah.
It's like we have this space, and I view it like a place that can grow good things. So a garden, example. And with a garden, you do have to make sure you're the one feeding it, whether it's the plant food or the water, making sure it gets enough sunlight.
I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but I have
You're a fan of this
gorgeous fiddle leaf fig named George. It's named after my grandfather.
Aww.
Yeah, that I love and sometimes get heckled by my children because they say I love George more than them, which is not true.
He doesn't talk back though.
He doesn't talk back, but they're like, Mom, you come home and you talk to him and you dust him and you sing songs to him and you feed him and you put your plant food in him and you adjust him to just the right sunlight. And like, could you give me some of that attention, please?
Yeah.
But I love George, and I'm an amateur gardener, but this helps me understand because I do
that concept. Yeah.
Like the concept. Yes.
Yeah. And if you ignored him, what would happen?
He would die.
He wouldn't look so good.
He wouldn't look so good.
And
he
even like fiddle,
wilt.
They're hard because you have to have been in the right exact spot in your house.
And I've had him for about 8 years now.
Yeah. That's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a gold medal when it comes.
Thanks. Well, there were some people on Instagram that I was talking about him one day, and they were like, he doesn't look good.
Oh, they said he wasn't good enough.
Yes, he wasn't good. And they're like, that's actually not a flourishing fiddly fig.
Okay.
And to which I got very sad and offended, like offended meaning hurt.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, maybe I'm not being the best plant mom that I can be. So I did some Googling research and found some really good, helpful websites and some new plant food and adjusted lots of things. And now he is thriving. And now I'm like, ha ha. No, I'm actually very grateful. I'm like, thanks for pointing that out because you're right. He wasn't thriving. He was doing well, but not thriving.
And I think it's a great example for what we're talking about here. Like you could be in your space, you could be filling it all the way up, but is it as fruitful as possible? Are you tending to it? Are you recognizing maybe there is something more I could learn in this? Maybe there's a way that I could be flourishing more in this space and being curious about that, or taking advice from asking for advice, because we said you want to ask, but receiving that input and recognizing there's always room for us to grow, or hopefully we're in that posture of growth and good things. I mean, fruit of the spirit, you're all about, right? We want these good things to come out of it.
Yes.
I'll tell a quick story about foxes. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
So I asked Instagram what their word of the year was a few years ago. And one gal responded, and I didn't even see her, like, include her response in my summary statement because it didn't make sense to me. She wrote foxes as her word of the year. I was like, surely that was a mistyping. Right. This, another friend had written mariachi bands as a joke to me. Like, I thought it was a joke or a mistype. So I didn't include it. And she DM'd me and she said, hey, you didn't include mine. And it started this whole conversation with her. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought it was a joke. And she explained to me that it came from a verse in Song of Solomon about how foxes can steal and destroy, and to watch out for foxes, be on guard. And it's caused her to realize, well, that context was for a spouse relationship, that this was her relationship with God, and what is stealing from her intimacy with God and from the future fruitfulness in her life. And so then I was able to share on Instagram that whole story and ask people, like, what in your own life steals from your future fruitfulness? Like, because one gal said, oh, I live in Scotland and there are foxes everywhere and they're always taking and sneaky.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is a real thing. Like, foxes really do this. They do come in and they take from the plant before it can even produce fruit. So they're like, seeing that something good might happen, they take before the good even happens. So yeah. Have you ever had that, like, something that's going to steal from future fruitfulness? I mean, you kind of shared, like, you got in your own way on those auditions, but are there other?
I did. I mean, I think there's things that I gravitate, or naturally they become difficult, like people pleasing. I think that's a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that sometimes I'm so wanting to please other people that I'm losing sight of what I'm actually needing to do, or I'm worried about the wrong things because I'm worried about other people more than God. I also think about the fact that I am a very goal-oriented person.
Yeah.
I like accomplishing things and achieving them. I love goals and a list. I love to check off a list. And because I'm so driven that way and enjoy it, it becomes a big distraction for me, because, and particularly with my family, because I can get so caught up in accomplishing that goal or achieving that thing that I've lost sight of some priorities in my life, which could be my family time, or my God time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll also say that, and those are character things for me, and some other distractions, I think, on a kind of a big, more global scale. And I think a lot of us feel this way, whether or not you have any relation to the industry. But, like, for me, beauty standards are a distraction.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, we look
I can
at
relate.
Models, we look at actresses.
I can relate, but yeah,
and
tell us about
that. There are certain standards, which I think they aren't as bad as they used to be, especially when I was growing up, because, you know, the 80s and the 90s were like,
there was one option,
heroin chic, you know? Yeah, there was one option. I didn't fit that mold. But some of those things carry along with you, hard to get rid of them when you get older. And, but that can be just a distraction in my world that I think about too much. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
If you're a parent or someone with young kids in your life, you want your kids to be safe online, and you want them to have fun with the online games they play. That's why I'm excited to tell you about True Play Games, a brand new faith-based app for kids that includes animated shorts, digital comic books, and a bunch of different games, all made to invite children to experience God's truth. With True Play, kids have fun in a world of safe and original content. There are no ads, no chatting, and no extra purchases. Visit truplaygames.com to learn more about growing faith through play.
So what helps you when you're thinking of all of those things? What helps you kind of have a rule, or like people say rule of life? Have you heard of that phrase? Mm-hmm. And if someone listening doesn't know, it's not like a rule like, don't open your mouth while you're eating. It's like a trellis. Mm-hmm. And so it gives a place for growth to happen. So it's this like word. Structure almost that allows that growth.
So I guess I have a structure of priorities, and I've shared this example before, and I think it's such a good one. And you might have heard it. If you take a jar and you had three things to fill it with, you had big rocks, you then had smaller pebbles, and then had sand. Well, if you put the rocks in first, you can still put the pebbles because they're smaller and they kind of fill in some of the room. And you can even fill in more because of the sand. It's even finer and it will fill in all the cracks. You could even put water on top of that and you could still hold another substance. But if you put any of those in a different order, if you put the sand in first, you wouldn't have room for the pebbles and the big rocks. You could maybe fit a couple of them in. You wouldn't have, if you put the water in first, you might be able to fit in some rocks, but you're not going to be able to put in all the sand. It's going to overflow. Yeah. So the key to this is the order in which you put them in. Mm-hmm. So for me, those big rocks are the big priorities in my life. They are God. They are family. They are things that help me in my daily life that I have to keep a big priority, like sleep and exercise and good nutrition. Yeah. And some people have those as pebbles in their life. Some people have those as sand in their life. For me to thrive and do what I need to do, those are my big, big priorities. I would say work is also a big priority, but work falls into a lot of the pebble categories. That's that medium size. They're very important. I need them. But if something like the sleep, the exercise, or my family or God is out of place, I'm never going to be able to function with my work stuff and be able to do that as well as I could without the big things being strong. So that's kind of my rule. I really think about, and I've listed out before in my life, and it's something you could journal about. What are those big staple priorities that are non-negotiables in your life that help make you thrive? You might not want to do it, right? Because even for like exercise and nutrition for me, and there are days when I'm like, of course, I can't exercise right now, or my schedule is too packed, or I'm going to have the second piece of cake and whatever. But the fact is, I already know tomorrow I'm going to wake up and not feel great, or I won't feel my best. Right. So how is that going to help me in the rest of my day, the next day? So I sometimes will weigh that out and go, well, you know what? I don't have a lot going on today. So this is actually a good time that I can
flex
on it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like listing out those big priorities is important than what those middle pieces are in your life. And then what the things that are kind of like the fun things, they're the sand, they're the grains of life. They make it all like go together and flow. But if you could kind of take them or leave them, Yeah. What about you?
I think that it took, when my boys were really little and I hit a wall. Like I remember seeing a friend, and she's like, you don't look so good. Because the second they woke up, because I'm a flibberty-gibbet, because I'm a pinball machine and I'm not goal-oriented and flexible. These are all good strengths. These are strengths, okay? Being a pinball is a strength. I'm adaptable. Yeah. With little boys, every need they have, I'm just bouncing boom, 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 boom. And by the end of the day, I'm exhausted and I haven't put any of those big rocks in first. And maybe the big rock is the family, but I'm doing nothing else for myself and I'm feeling completely spent. And so she was like, I think you need to check out Hello Mornings, which is a friend of mine who helped me actually in the future start this podcast or my podcast. But Hello Mornings was this accountability group that for me, it was waking up 5 minutes before my boys woke up and reading a verse saying a prayer, doing a push-up. Like we're not talking big goals here, but it just,
and they don't have to be.
No, it just started this habit that I loved of connecting with God. And I tell people, it's not like this cup here that it's, I want to meet with God so I can be filled up so I can pour out. That analogy is often used.
Yes.
There's not a pitcher in the world big enough for the life of a mom of 4 boys. Like my pitcher would be poured out in 30 minutes because so much was required of me.
Right.
I view that time as a reminder that there is a river of love and all the things I need that God is inviting me into, and he's the unlimited source. And I then get to invite my boys into that unlimited source. It doesn't have to come from me. I'm not the one mustering all the things. And so that time just became where I went from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. And I was like, well, maybe I'll 20 minutes and 30 minutes. And I would just go to bed earlier. Cause really, if you get 8 hours of sleep, you don't have babies waking up in the middle, just shifting that 8 hours, like a little bit earlier in the evening. So I wake up a little bit earlier, and it just became a really sweet time for me. You know? Is
that still a ministry that is?
I think so. I think women can, I think women can still get that support. But I also realized through this tool that a friend started, it's called Cultivate What Matters. It goes with this analogy of planting. I didn't think about that, but you're cultivating what actually matters. So like you said, some people's big rocks will be different than your big rocks. Well, in this tool, you look at 8 areas of your life and you rank them from 1 to 10. Okay. How are you doing already? And what needs attention? And then you create your goals for the next year based on the areas that had lower numbers. So if it's health, if it's your relationship with your spouse, if it's friends. And I realized filling it out that I had put so much energy into family and into work. And my spiritual life was good, but I hadn't prioritized friends. And I really did need that. That was important to me. And so I started a new goal of like once a week, I'm going to either have coffee or lunch or some dinner with a friend.
That's good. I felt the same way with friendships too, because that is definitely something I put on the back burner. Yeah. And when my cup's poured out empty, I'm like, I still have to give to my family. There's still certain things. So I'm like, my friends don't get anything.
But if you're in the river, you don't have a cup. Right. There's no pouring out. Right. But as far as like, you have limited hours. So I had to choose to put it had to be a big rock.
Exactly.
It had to be a big rock that I put in my calendar first.
Yeah, that's good.
And for me in that season, and it's this reevaluating because for me, being with people and community helps disrupt the internal foxes of like self-doubt or shame. If I'm doing work and I'm starting to feel unworthy or insecure in that space, being with them and having them reiterate God's truth to me helps me keep going.
Me too. And that's because friendships always became like the sand for me, even though I've maintained, my best friend, my very best friend, we're still best friends. We've been best friends since I was 15. We were 15, so there's 1 or 2 relationships that I will always put the work into because they're so valuable to me. But other friendships that I really love, they just kind of get put in the sand pile instead of a pebble or a rock because I just don't have enough time in the day. But I have found in a season, and particularly last year and this year, that has now become one of my bigger priority rocks because I too have realized how valuable those friendships are to me, and still a very close group of people, but I've needed to be able to relate to and talk with other women and share with other women. Yeah. And I share a lot with my husband. We're really close and it's wonderful. Like, I don't want that. He's like my best friend,
Yes,
I don't want that to end, but there's something very different when you're sharing with women, woman to woman, than with my husband. It's just different. And I need that too. So I've changed the priority of that as well.
Yeah. We need people.
We need people.
People need people. We were talking about your George and you had to do some research and you had to realize, oh, I need to change this up? Is there something that you've thought about your space and you want, like we just said with friendship, maybe more friendship, but is there another aspect that needs tending?
Yeah. And I shared about this a little bit already, that I want to dig deeper in my prayer time, which is something I used to do on a deeper level. And I just haven't made the space for that. Yeah. So that's a priority for me this year. And also memorizing scripture. I actually talked to Tara Lee about memorizing scripture, and I have a really hard time with it.
Have you heard of Dwell Differently? They're the people that made this necklace.
Do tell. Do you have tips?
2 sisters. One of them did track, and she wanted the verse on her arm while she's running, like a motivational, and like writing out a whole verse it takes up too much space. So she just put the first letter. So they started this monthly memorization program or subscription, and you can either get stickers for like your water bottle or your computer, or temporary tattoos, which I think are cool because I don't have a tattoo. Okay. So don't judge.
I do have a tattoo or two.
If you're against tattoos, don't call in.
But I love temporary tattoos.
But what was great, it was a great conversation starter, kind of like this. It's like, oh, what does that say? And then it gives you time to practice it, because it's amazing.
That's great.
How it does help trigger your memory. And you can do it as a family. It comes in packs with your family, and they have devos that go with the verse for the month.
I would love to link that in the show notes.
Yeah. Dwell differently.
Dwell differently. That's awesome. I've heard of that technique used even as actors. Some people have done that with their lines to at least know the first letter of some of the words or wherever they're getting stuck on that phrase. Yeah. But that's why I have a hard time memorizing scripture, because I'm so used to memorizing dialogue and I'm a quick study, but I throw it out immediately. So like, I don't have to know today's lines tomorrow. So I can memorize 8 pages of dialogue, but then the next day I have to memorize a brand new 8 pages or 12 pages of dialogue. So it's like I memorize it, and then I throw it out of my brain. I memorize a whole new set, the next day throw it out of my brain. And that's why it's so hard for me to memorize scripture, because you really have to hold on to it. And so I just bought a new journal because, new things, you just need a new product.
All of a sudden it's going to, have you heard of Seeds Family Worship? That's old school. But when my boys were little, it was scripture to music. And I would listen to it with my oldest son in particular. And I remember I was really worried that I was actually going into labor early with my second son. And he started singing one of the songs, and he goes, "When I am afraid, I will trust in you." This little 2-year-old voice. And I was like, I will, over and over. And I just started bawling. Like he was repeating the truth to me, because when it's with song,
I know
it goes in a different place in your brain.
Totally. And I remember all the songs. Maybe I need to look up that one too.
Go back to Seeds Family Worship. They're little, for kids, but it's good.
Well, I did buy the journal, and now I'm starting to write out the verses that I want to memorize. And so each morning I'm looking at that and saying it, and
that's good.
Trying to keep it in my brain.
You're doing it. Yeah. You're doing it.
Well, this was really great. I would like to go to a listener question now. Today's question is from Marina. She said, even though you're a busy person who constantly is working on projects, can you have a prayer life and have your time with God? That's funny. I didn't know that question was coming. Well, yes, of course. We just talked about that. Although that's something that I'm working on because I want to deepen that part of my life. But absolutely, I've talked about the fact that I'm praying throughout the day, all day, every day. That's just something that's a part of me. But I want to have more specific times to listen to God and not just talk to God. And it, again, is all about priorities. So can you be busy and still have a great prayer life? Of course you can. And I would suggest that you make that a priority, one of those big rocks in your life.
Yeah, that's good.
Heather?
I, a few years ago, went through this training program for prayer. I don't know if I mentioned it already, but they taught us just different tools that they would give missionaries, because there is a spiritual battle at hand, and they maybe didn't learn that in seminary. And so then they offered it to us lay people. And one of the tools was blessing prayer. And I loved it because it's something you can do on the go, where you're with someone.
Okay.
And whereas we typically think of prayer as you give me a request and then I tell God about it. So it's this direction. Blessing prayer is God, I'm listening to God, what he wants me to pray over you. Mm-hmm. And I had a dishwasher repairman once, and we were just chatting away about his life. And before he left, I said, would it be okay if I prayed a blessing over you? And he said, that would be great. And so I said, can I put my hand on your shoulder? And he's like, sure. And the words that God gave me for him were both weeping in my hallway.
No way.
And I'm like, that's my busy, I'm getting my dishwasher fixed. This isn't like outside of
See,
my
I
day
have to tell you though, when I hear that, I'm like in awe of it and inspired by it. And yet I'm like, but I don't feel like God gives me that word. And then I think, am I not in the word enough, or I'm not listening to God enough? Because I haven't felt that I've been able to do that. And I have friends who do that, and I love it. And I love being able to receive that. But I also, I desire so greatly to give that, but just, I can't imagine those beautiful words flowing out of my mouth.
Well, and I don't even know if they were beautiful. I don't even remember what I said, but I think it connected God knew what his heart needed to hear. And I'm just the conduit of it. Yeah. And I think remember that cochlear implant example, it's like as you attune your device to hear God's voice, you can do that. Another real quick tip for busy moms, particular, or anyone actually, is breath prayer. Have you heard of that?
No, I don't know what that is.
So it's breath in that you breathe in, you breathe out. That's simple as a breath. And you like say the name for God and then say what you need. So whatever that is.
So like a name for God,
whatever.
One of his characteristics.
Father, give me strength. Jesus, be my help. Holy Spirit, comfort me. I would buckle my screaming kids in the car seat. And by the time I walked around to the driver's seat, I will have said a breath prayer.
So I do a lot of breathing prayers then. Okay.
They're not super fancy.
I didn't know there was a name for them.
It's a moment where you're just surrendering. Yeah. You're saying it's not about me. There's a higher power. I'm not it. And I need help.
Oh, that was great. Well, if life ever feels overwhelming, maybe confusing, or just hard, it can help to change your perspective. Heather and I want to help you discover how your gifts, your talents, and experiences can equip you to face whatever season of life you're in. Go to Candace.com to order Heather's new book and download our PDF to help you discover right where you belong. Until next time, be grateful all day, every day. This has been a Candace Cameron Bure podcast, a production of Candy Rock Entertainment. Some of the products and services mentioned are paid promotions. Any advice should be confirmed with a qualified professional. Opinions and ideas are for entertainment purposes only and belong to Candy Rock Entertainment. All rights reserved.